My husband's stepsister won't leave us alone, so we left the country.
Get out of there.
Get out of that country. Me, 27 female, and Callum, 28 male, met in college, fell in love, and decided to get married once we both found stable jobs and a little life footing. Callum is the nicest, sweetest guy on the planet, but also a bit of a people pleaser. He'll bend over backwards, hold up, to not hurt anyone's feelings. That's relevant later. To explain why things went the way they did for so long. By the way, this comes from Public Sense 1503. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, a bit of info about me. I have dual citizenship. My dad is Canadian, but I went to college in the States in the same city my maternal grandmother lives. And my family, super chill. Unless hockey is involved, then the gloves come off.
And here we go.
Callum's family, not chill.
They suck.
His mom is actually fine. She's the ex-wife of his dad, but dad and stepmom, not so much.
Enter Layla.
Which we love Layla.
Yeah.
Generally. Who at the time of this story was 21 female. She is Callum's stepsister from his dad's remarriage. She's been in his life since she was a little kid, but the critical detail here, Layla has had a crush on Callum for years.
Wait. The stepsister?
Don't go into the washing machine, stepsis. The crush. Layla has been a painfully obvious crush on Callum since she was 14. At the time, everyone in his family brushed it off as cute and puppy love. They make comments like, isn't it adorable how she follows him around? Which totally ignored how uncomfortable it made Callum. Once Callum moved out, he went low contact with them, mostly to escape Layla. Didn't take the hint though. She kept sending weirdly suggestive selfies, faking emergencies to guilt him into visiting, and worst of all, making threats of self-harm if he didn't pay her enough attention.
Dude, why isn't this family doing anything to stop this?
It was emotional blackmail, and Callum, being the nice guy he is, felt torn between guilt and genuine unease over her behavior. Throughout our time dating, Layla was absolutely clingy. She'd get furious if he ignored her calls, bombard him with text messages, and would show up at his apartment and later our house, seemingly determined to insert herself into every moment of our lives. Meanwhile, her mother, Callum's stepmom, and Callum's dad did nothing more than coddle her, dismissing her behavior as nothing more than harmless puppy love rather than stepping in to address the escalating boundary violation.
That's so frustrating.
Now our engagement. Layla's going to go bananas. Fast forward to a couple of years ago, Callum and I got engaged. He planned a sunset picnic and did the cheesy ringing glass stunt, but with sparkling apple juice as I don't drink. When we announced our happy news, Layla immediately lost it. She posted sad, dramatic TikToks, wrote mopey captions on her socials, and repeatedly called me a gold digger, which is wild because we're pretty much on equal footing financially. Layla's parents suddenly decided it was Callum's and my job to manage her feelings.
I'm sorry, if I don't usually encourage clapping back on people's socials, but honestly, I would just go on all of her posts and say, "You're into your stepbrother?" ? And just leave it at that.
They insisted we postpone our wedding because it was too distressing for Layla and that her mental health was fragile, which is probably true, but it's not OP's job. I maybe stand in and get her some help.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
get her some therapy.
Her mental health is fragile because you guys did nothing.
They even floated the idea that Callum should go to couples therapy with her to work out their relationship issues.
Why would you go to couples therapy?
Yes, you read that right. Couples therapy, not family therapy, couples. Suffice to say, that was a no from us, but Callum did offer to attend family therapy, and we were even willing to pay for it.
Stop.
They refused, and the guilt tripping escalated. Relatives on that side of the family started blowing up Callum's phone, telling him he was being cruel by not taking Layla's emotional turmoil more seriously. Meanwhile, Callum's biological mom, who's divorced from his dad, saw the situation for what it was and encouraged him to cut everyone from that side off and go no contact, just like she did. But Callum wasn't quite ready to go that extreme just yet. As I said, he is a people pleaser, but we are working on it. Now, the wedding dress. Because of all the drama, I decided to do dress shopping with only my mom, my maid of honor, and a couple of close friends who were honorary bridesmaids, as I didn't plan on having a full wedding party. I didn't even think
I don't even think once
to invite Layla or her mom. for obvious reasons, but that didn't stop Layla from showing up unannounced to the dress shopping.
Who does that? She probably freaking showed up in a white dress.
I'm here to take
I've also
your place.
brought my own priest. I have him on retainer.
He's ready to stand in anytime. He can object too. He'll object to
He'll do it
yours
all.
and then do mine.
It's really quite easy.
One-stop shop. A friend posted a group picture in front of the building to her Instagram, which is how Layla found out where we were. I was in the middle of trying on a gorgeous A-line gown when who do I see in the mirror's reflection behind me? Layla. Dude, it's like a horror movie.
Layla, hi, it's me, Layla.
Here's Johnny.
I don't remember everything that was said. Stress plus time equals fuzzy memory, but some moments are burned into my brain, like the way Layla stormed right over to me, looked me up and down, and sneered. Wow, they actually have dresses in your size?
Wow.
I'm not a twig by any means. I love carbs way too much, but I do work out regularly, and I'm proud of my body. Yet hearing that while wearing what had been until that moment my yes dress was like an ice cold gut, the old one too.
Gut hit.
My mom and friends were too stunned to respond right away, as was I. But the boutique owner, an older, clearly battle-tested woman who must have seen every type of bridal meltdown under the sun, stepped in, informing Layla in a stern and overly sweet tone that this was a private appointment and she needed to leave. Layla's response? It's probably going to be measured and regular.
Yeah, probably like, oh, sorry, didn't know that. I'll see myself out.
To declare that she was the groom's sister and had a right to be there as this was her brother's wedding, she then started pulling dresses off racks at random, tossing them aside with nasty comments about how each one didn't suit me or wouldn't fit.
Baby girl, you can't have it both ways. He's either your brother or your lover.
Yep.
You can't call
choose
them
a
both.
side. It took a bit more back and forth and threats of police before Layla stormed out. And of course, Callum's dad and stepmom tried to twist the situation into it being my fault. Why didn't you invite her in the first place? You know how sensitive she is. Just the same old tune of Layla's fragile. Cater to her every whim. The silver lining? I still found my dream dress that day. It wasn't the one I'd been originally going to pick when Layla showed up, but one that I personally think was far better. That night, Callum and I had a long talk. And we agreed that Layla, and by extension that side of his family, would not be involved in any wedding events outside of the actual wedding and would be on an even stricter info diet. If they kept pushing, we'd have no choice but to disinvite them entirely. We knew it would stir up a hornet's nest, but we were out of options. We did all the needed things to ensure our wedding was drama and stress-free, passwords with all our vendors, a day of coordinator who also recommended a security company, and several other measures to be taken. No plus ones unless we personally knew them, etc.
Dude, you know what this kind of sounds like?
What?
The final test.
Like,
They're like, oh, you had to get through Layla before you could have Callum.
Yeah.
We had to know that you were strong enough.
I mean, yeah, the love is strong if you can get through all this. Well, meanwhile, Callum's dad and stepmom kept pushing. They said we should be patient because Layla's mental health was delicate. And Callum's dad even threatened to not attend himself if we didn't let her come to my bridal shower, which honestly felt like more of a relief than a threat, which brings us to the next arc in this drama.
The bridal shower.
Not the bridal shower.
Oh, wow. We're not even a quarter done.
Dang, man.
There's a chunker. My bridal shower was a Bridgerton-themed high tea.
Cool.
Because your girl was deep in her Bridgerton era. Picture
Valid.
a dozen of my closest friends and a few relatives, mom, grandma, and cousin, dressed to the nines, pinkies out, sipping from delicate teacups and speaking in fake posh accent. Oh, it was honestly perfect. Lots of laughter and zero signs of drama. But the moment we left that bubble of the Regency-inspired bliss, my happy mood absolutely tanked. We stepped out into the parking lot, chattered about how wonderful the evening had been, only to find my car had been vandalized. Both side mirrors were broken, almost every panel keyed, 4 flat tires, and scratched on the hood was one word: salute. When the police arrived, they asked me if I had any idea who might have done it. I could think of only one person. Olivia, who do you think it is? Using your powers of deduction.
Must be that retainer priest.
I never trusted him.
Never trusted him.
It was Layla. The officer said they do what they could, but with no security cameras in that particular lot, it was basically a lost cause unless someone confessed or we had direct evidence. My insurance ended up covering part of the damage, but the timing and the emotional toll was brutal. I remember sobbing on the curb, tea, dress and all, feeling so utterly done. At that moment, I even considered if staying with Callum was even worth it. No, don't let her take it. She's going to win. Don't let her win.
Don't let her win.
He was and still is. And of course, when we told Callum's dad and stepmom about the incident, they said there was no proof it was Layla and that random acts of vandalism happen all the time. Right, because random vandals regularly write that particular insult on vehicles parked at bridal showers. And yet, none of this prepared me for what Layla did next.
The break-in.
Oh, man, do we have a lot.
Layla, I really think that you have to talk to Callum and say, dude, I understand that you have people-pleasing tendencies, but like, I feel like my life is in danger.
Yeah, I mean, this is getting dangerous.
Layla is crazy.
I mean, she's destroying property. What's next?
Destroying property.
But now we get into the break-in. So, with the wedding just a few months away, Callum and I took a quick weekend trip to visit my parents because the stress was real. While we were gone, Layla apparently got a key somehow, still don't know how. Her goal, we still aren't entirely sure, but my friends and I believe she might have been looking for my dress, which I hadn't picked up from the shop yet as it needed alterations. What she did, however, was go room to room, wreaking havoc. She ripped our framed photos off walls, destroyed them, then she pulled clothes out of my closet, leaving a huge mess and torn fabric and broken hangers, poured bleach into our fish tank. We know this because she left a bottle next to the tank, and worst of all, she stole my engagement ring.
Oh my God, jail.
Now, my question is, like, why would you take off her engagement ring, which I bet you she's about to answer. Now, to answer the question that I know you'll be asking, I had 2 rings, a simple band that I wear daily and has inset diamonds. The band so they don't get snagged or damaged. Then I have my engagement ring, which is the fancy diamond ring that I usually only wear on special occasions. I'm clumsy and worried about knocking out the stone. Both rings are part of a set with my wedding band and can be worn as a ring stack if I want. And no, I didn't get my engagement ring back. We don't know what she did with it, but it was insured, so I did get a very nice replacement and even a second proposal ring along with it.
Yeah, you better. I mean, you have to deal with this crazy family.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for putting up with me.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is wild. If not for the cameras across the street that the neighbor had, we might have thought we'd been burglarized by a random stranger. But no. Who did we see entering our house like she owned the place? Layla. She even parked in our driveway. The audacity still rankles me. We called the police and she was ultimately arrested. But of course, her parents and the monkeys came flying to the rescue and she was out on bail soon after. And of course, we were to blame.
How?
There was not one word of an apology, not one drop of remorse, just gaslighting and blame shifting. According to them, we were blowing things out of proportion and that Layla was just emotional.
She broke into their house. How is that just emotional?
Every phone call or text from the side of the family left us exhausted, anxious, and even more determined to keep them at distance. That was the final straw. About darn time.
Dude, I'm sorry.
No more straws to be given.
Arrest Layla. You have proof.
Finally, we have proof, says Brianna Coppola, but I mean, she's on bail, so she can still cause more ruckus.
What is this?
I'll never forget standing in the middle of my destroyed living room, shaking with rage and heartbreak, knowing there was no going back. We were done trying to compromise or be polite about Layla's behavior. If she'd proven anything, is that she'd escalate as far as she could if we didn't draw a hard line. Because we learned I was pregnant while on our weekend getaway, and if Layla was willing to go this far over a wedding, we couldn't even imagine the length she might go if a baby was in the picture. I laid it all out for him that day. I was done, and either he came with me or we were done too. Thankfully, that served as a wake-up call that Callum needed. Now we're getting to the next part of this story.
Elopement.
Canceling the wedding.
It's got to be an elopement.
Original plan was to power through and still have the wedding, albeit with strict security. But after the break-in and now knowing I was pregnant, we decided enough was enough. We were done putting up with Layla and her crazy. So we officially canceled the wedding. This was both out of sheer exhaustion and because we honestly feared for my safety. Layla was arrested for the break-in, but let's be real, that doesn't magically fix her obsession. Yes, we could have gotten a restraining order, but a piece of paper, don't stop crazy. We lost some of our deposits, but honestly, that was the least of our worries, and we're going to Operation Ghost, or so my friend jokingly called it. Our plan was dramatic and perhaps a wee bit extreme, but my friends and I had a lot of fun coming up with it. Step 1, fake a breakup. Why? To redirect Layla's focus off me. Our logic was that if Layla thought Callum and I were no longer together, maybe she would back up. The breakup story was also to give me cover to move out of our house and leave the country. Destination, Canada, where my parents live and I have a support network of family and friends to depend on. That's crazy that
Insane
Layla
that you-
is so
yeah.
terrible that you had to move to Canada.
But also fake a breakup.
Yeah.
Lie about it. Leave under the cover of night, and her parents still cannot.
Her parents
conceive.
haven't held her accountable at all yet. That's crazy. That's the craziest part. I feel so bad for OP. Tidesha Powell says, I would have left him, to be honest. Sorry, but I have yet to find a man that makes me want to allow my peace to be harmed.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's not his fault. I
it's
mean,
not
like,
his
if
fault,
you
but
really
the-
love him.
I do think that, the things that I will hold against him is that he's not kind
He
of
was not
cutting
adamant
us off.
enough.
He
Yeah,
he was
the people
pushing-
pleasing.
yeah.
I took all my things, what we could salvage after Layla's break, and that is quit my job and went to live with my parents. I changed my phone number, blocked a bunch of suspicious accounts, and basically went quiet on social media. If Layla or her minions tried to stalk me, they'd hit a wall of inactivity. Meanwhile, Callum stayed in our old place for the time being as we had loose ends to tie up. The lease on the house we were renting, his job, etc. Thankfully, our landlord was very understanding as we'd already discussed not renewing our lease, both because we wanted a bigger place and because he wanted to sell. After moving out and shipping me the few things I'd left behind, Callum stayed with a friend, ignoring the offers to stay with his dad and stepmom, and continued working for another few weeks. Firstly, because he wanted to leave his employer on good terms and worked through the requested notice period. And secondly, because he had a particular date in mind for his departure, which was about as petty as I got in this entire saga. Originally, we'd set our wedding date for midsummer, and after we canceled, Callum's dad's side of the family decided to turn that date into a support Callum party. Layla was apparently in her element, feeding them nonsense about how I was never good for him and planning a party that would be far better than what our wedding could have ever been.
Oh my God. She's like, it's going to be the best wedding. I mean, party
Yeah.
for Callum.
Best engagement party for us. I mean, just regular party.
The priest, the
yeah.
party planner.
They're
Is
just going to
gonna-
be there. They're not even going to do anything
No.
unless something crazy happens, which I'm
He's
Layla.
just
I make
he's my
crazy
priest on
happen.
retainer. It's not like anything.
It's going to happen. No. It wouldn't surprise me if she'd even bought herself a white dress for the occasion. What they didn't know was that I booked Callum's flight for the morning of what would have been our wedding day. He never would show up to that party. He didn't text or call to tell them he wasn't coming. He just turned off his phone and ghosted them. Happily ever after, minus the crazy in-laws. That's the next section of the story. To this day, Callum and I remain no contact with his dad's side of the family. His mother, on the other hand, has been an amazing grandmother, loving, calm, 100% free of drama. She lived across the country from us and never really got involved with that side of the family's antics. I'm so thankful we have had at least one grandparent on Callum's side who can shower our son with affection without bringing a tornado of nonsense through the door. We've built a safe, stable, and loving home. Callum's thriving in a new job. I'm soaking up every moment of stay-at-home motherhood. I work but remote. And our sweet boy is growing up surrounded by loving, mentally stable grandparents, great-grandparents, and uncles. If you made it this far, I salute you. I know it was long.
That's what she said.
Trust me, before I polished it up and trimmed out all the minor things that happened in between, it was a lot longer. Stay safe, set boundaries with the toxic in-laws, and if all else fails, a fake breakup and moving to another country might just do the trick. And we have an update.
Ooh-wee.
You thought this was
You
done.
thought we'd wrapped it all up.
No, you thought, oh, such a nice little bow. There's
Oh,
nothing
Layla.
crazy that's going to happen.
Layla could never possibly.
She couldn't
pull
come to
out a
Canada.
stunt.
She doesn't know how to fly. No, Layla knows how to fly, and so do her flying monkeys.
Nice.
Storm Kitten says, yes, we love a happy ending. Wrong.
Wrong.
We got an update.
And it might be happy.
But it might not be.
Family reaction.
Sunny says, aren't they siblings? What the heck? They're step siblings.
Step sibling.
They're step siblings. And apparently OP and Callum are the only people who find anything weird about that.
While we don't have a lot of details, we know from some friends and former coworkers that his family went around asking about him, and they were informed he moved away, but he didn't tell his coworkers where. And those that did know knew enough not to spill the details to his family. Layla did get into a verbal altercation with one of my friends at her work, trying to demand if he was with me and where I was. The police were recalled to remove her from the store. While not much happened beyond that, just another day in the Walmart, she was banned from the store as my friend manages it. Callum's family knows that my family lives in Canada, though not exactly where. They know which city, but it's a big one. There were some attempts to contact my parents, but those were either ignored or met with stonewalling, and my parents ended up changing their numbers. Oh my God, they're after doing so much.
Wow.
I believe they do know we have a baby and got married, but they aren't privy to our exact location. We can't completely cut them off from learning details since we still have contact with his mom and her side, who posts online, as well as friends and other family members. We do ask that posts contain no pictures of our son or us, but I know we can't control everything. As for our wedding, after all the stress and drama of our first attempt, we decided to scale down our plans. We got married in an intimate backyard wedding with only a very few close family and friends. While I couldn't wear my original dress because my baby bump made it a bit of a tight fit, it's a dress that isn't overly wedding. One of those reasons I chose it, and I ended up wearing it for our first anniversary while we recently celebrated. And now, next part of the story, Layla's arrest and charges. Maybe finally some karma being caught up.
What?
Finally some karma catching up with
Bin Kata?
karma.
Then you said Bin Kata.
Some karma.
Being caught up.
Bin caught up?
Karma's catching up.
Okay.
God.
Thank you.
Finally, karma's catching up because it was her first official offense and her parents got her a good lawyer. She ended up taking a plea deal. She didn't serve jail time, but was sentenced to probation, mandatory counseling, and ordered to pay restitution for damages, which was paid to our lawyer into a trust and then allocated to us.
Good.
From the time Layla was arrested to the court hearing, it took around 6 months. There were multiple delays, mainly because her lawyer requested extensions, according to what our lawyer told us. We weren't there for the hearing itself, choosing instead to submit victim impact statements and such through our lawyer. It was partly to avoid further emotional distress, but mostly because by that point we'd already moved away and attending the hearing in person felt like taking a step backward. And there's another update called minor issues.
Oh no, we were doing so well. Everyone was getting what they deserved.
I know. I thought it was like, oh, that's an even nicer postscript.
Yeah, I was like, yay.
But at least there's minor.
Just minor. It's not major issues. It's not like Layla's back.
No.
She's back.
Yeah, maybe it's just like she's annoying us on social media or something.
Yeah.
Because there was so much ongoing drama, I originally trimmed my post for brevity, but here are a few things that occurred. Engagement party crash. Layla crashed our small friends only engagement party barbecue, which was to announce and celebrate our engagement with them. Layla showed up at the house and dramatically burst into tears, claimed we had purposely excluded her. Callum's people-pleasing ways and desire not to cause a scene came to the forefront, resulting in Layla joining us.
No.
She spent the entire night whining about the food, pouting and attempting to eat things off his plate, asking him for his jacket because she was cold.
Well, damn, Jackie, I can't control the weather.
Well, damn, Jackie, I can't control the weather.
It wasn't cold, and he wasn't even wearing a jacket, and various other small antics to be the center of attention. I, meanwhile, decided to punish him by keeping well away from them both so he could reap what he sowed in letting her stay. My go-to line was, "It's your sister, not mine. You deal with her."
Fair. If he's going to let her stay and be the people pleaser, then he's got to deal with the consequences.
And then, next, job sabotage attempt. I suspect, but have no real proof, that Layla and her friends tried to sabotage my job by making false complaints to HR alleging inappropriate behavior. Thankfully, my boss knew me well enough to see through the claims, and we have cameras, which they reviewed, but it still led to an uncomfortable conversation with a lot of anxiety over my job. I also suspect it isn't the first time she has done this, as I was let go from my previous employer from complaints about my conduct with customers. Oh my God. She is
doing false claims to get you fired.
I mean,
and nobody followed up on that.
Layla has successfully
Ruined
everything. Successfully. I mean, at least the marriage wasn't broken up, but she's been pretty.
But she canceled she got the wedding canceled. She got them to literally move countries.
I mean, say what you will about Layla, but dang, is she effective.
She's a hard worker.
Hard worker. If only she applied that to anything else. So fake illness. Layla pretended to have a severe illness while her parents were away on holiday. She lives with them, desperately demanding Callum to come over. She sent him panic texts claiming she could hardly breathe and she thought she might die because she couldn't find her inhaler. Callum, genuinely concerned and too nice for his own good, rushed over with me along for the ride, and she opened the door in a skimpy nightgown, throwing herself at him while wheezing and coughing. She miraculously recovered after seeing I was there. For context, she has asthma and often uses it as an excuse for attention. One more thing on the same note, she once accused me of trying to unalive her because I'd worn some floral perfume around her. I didn't stop wearing it after this, but she continued to accuse me of wearing strong perfumes afterward, even though I'd long since stopped wearing them and only use minimally scented roll-on. Next part of the story, social media. Oh my goodness, Layla. Layla was rather active online, posting vague yet passive-aggressive statuses about how the family betrays you and men are scum who don't know what they have. And while I have no proof, I suspect Layla and her friends were the ones creating anonymous accounts to spam my social media with hateful comments, insults about my appearance, and accusations about being unfaithful, a gold digger, and more. I did lock down as best I could, but even my phone would get spammed with messages, and I had to change my number several times as she was, I suspect, using my number on various websites for quotes and callbacks for salespeople, insurance, etc. Then there's a wedding registry sabotage. Again, I have no proof, but someone with access to our wedding registry started marking nearly everything as purchased. This was found out when a friend asked me what else we might want, as everything on the registry was taken. With everything going on, I don't know who else to accuse but Layla. These smaller, though still wildly frustrating issues made the larger events feel even more exhausting. Writing it all out makes it even clearer that we should have set more boundaries and enforced them way earlier. It wasn't that we weren't trying, because we were. We made numerous attempts to set firm boundaries, from directly confronting Layla about her behavior to limiting contact to explicitly laying out what was and wasn't acceptable. But every single time, we drew a line. Callum's family pushed back, accusing us of overreacting and being cruel, and pressed Callum to be a good brother because his sister needed him.
Someone needs to pick what they want Callum to be towards Layla. Because you
I'm
can't
just-
keep switching it up.
I just don't know how they see all this behavior and are not
it's not
trying to put
insane.
some kind of line there.
Like, what?
It felt like fighting a constant uphill battle, with Layla always cast as the victim and us made out to be unreasonable villains standing up for ourselves. For me, I'm not a people pleaser like Callum. I am more roll my eyes and move on kind of person. So I initially let a lot of things slide, thinking it wasn't worth the energy or stress to fight every small battle. I figured Layla would eventually get bored, which she did not.
No, Layla finds ways to entertain herself.
I thought she'd grow out of it, or at least redirect her obsession elsewhere. I even tried to set her up on a date at one point while Callum and I were just dating. God help that guy. Oh my goodness.
Watch out.
Yeah. She wasn't as bad before we got engaged, and back then most of her antics were annoying but manageable. It was only after we announced our engagement that Layla's behavior escalated dramatically. When we were dating, it was things like Layla constantly texting or calling Callum late at night, having small emergencies just to get his attention, like having an asthma attack. And now I'm writing this, I am wondering if her allergic reactions were her purposely eating sesame or sesame products, or if they were legitimate mistakes.
Then, with Layla, you never know.
Then there was her showing up unannounced to his apartment, and then our house after we moved whenever she knew we had plans. She once let herself in very early in her dating days and had a complete breakdown after finding us in bed, sleeping. This should have probably been a red flag, but I was a bit lovesick for my husband back then. Who am I kidding? I still am.
Wait, what happened?
She broke into the house and then
broke into the house
went
and she
into
was
the
like,
room.
"Ah!"
Went into their room and was like, ah. She also regularly tried to guilt trip him into canceling dates by pretending to feel lonely or abandoned.
Good.
Once she even threw a tantrum because Callum spent Valentine's Day with me instead of her, claiming he was neglecting family. God, now I remember that one. It really makes me cringe. But while annoying and frustrating, these things felt more childish and cringy rather than outright malicious, so I mistakenly thought she'd eventually grow out of them. Clearly, we underestimated how far she'd be willing to go. By the way, you should never underestimate how many episodes we have of OK Storytime. And you can go listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update. And I'm just going to go straight through it. Truthfully, writing this now, if I was the person I am today and was back at the start of dating Callum, I don't think we would have made it past the first few months. Not because Callum, he's always been wonderful, but because the family drama and like Layla's obsession would have been an immediate deal breaker. The older and wiser version of myself recognizes that love alone isn't always enough. Healthy boundaries, mutual respect, and emotional safety matter just as much. Thankfully, Callum eventually saw this too, but it was a long journey to get there. And a really good therapist definitely helped, as did some of the books on enmeshment she had us read. Honestly, it's eye-opening now to see just how much we tolerated / overlooked in the name of keeping the peace. And that is where that saga
Really
ends.
a saga.
My goodness, Layla needs to learn some boundaries and maybe learn that in the confines of a very small cell.
Wowie.
Wowee. Well, we got one more story. I mean, it sounds like she just never got therapy. It sounds like she was never given boundaries that she respect. It's really bad.
But let's get into this next story.
Oh, wait, that's a great. Wait. Can I dunk my head in cold water really quick? That's.
We'll be back.
All right.
Unbelievable.
I am ready.
All right, let's do it. Sam's wearing a towel now.
Wait, how do you do the thing that ladies do?
You throw, so you did it. You had it.
But it wasn't quite there. So
Yeah, then you just twist it.
okay, so I twist it.
Twist it.
Like
Just
this.
twist it. And then, yeah. And then throw it behind you. My goddaughter's stepmother tried to replace her real mother and got a dose of karma.
Karma needs to come to someone. I was tired and I needed to dunk my head in the ice bath.
This is a story about my unofficial daughter, Ella. Ella is the daughter of a dear friend of mine who I will call Mary. Mary and I had been friends since secondary school, although we had less contact during college. Due to her studying abroad, we remained close. By the way, this comes from burner account 909876. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, at Mary's and her husband's Tom's wedding, I played an important role. When Ella was born, I was made godmother. When my twins were born, Mary became godmother to my daughter. We were part of each other's family, honorary aunts and uncles. 14 years ago, Mary got sick with cancer. Hubby and I stepped in to help where we could. Ella was 10 at the time of the diagnosis. It seemed to go well at first until it didn't. Mary passed away when Ella was 11. We were all devastated.
Oh.
Mary's parents had left Mary with some family heirloom jewelry. And when Mary was terminal, she made her will. I will be honest, Tom is a good man at heart, but has no backbone and does everything to avoid confrontation.
Noodle spine.
Noodle Tom.
Noodle time. Noodle spine.
Noodle Tom.
Tom hands.
The man is worse than me. I know that I also lacked a backbone. Mary was very afraid what would happen if he would marry again and that person wouldn't have Ella's interest at heart. In her infinite wisdom, Mary made an ironclad will. The heirloom jewelry was left with me as Mary wanted me to give Ella everything when she would marry. Tom had documentation and insurance papers of every piece, as did the attorney who made Mary's will. After Mary's death and funeral, Tom and Ella got our support. We helped Ella navigate a life without her mother, standing in when she needed me as a mother figure. We helped Tom with whatever support he needed. And when Ella was 12, Tom met Clarissa. Clarissa couldn't have children of her own, and when she and Ella were introduced to one another, she latched on to Ella. Clarissa tried to erase Mary's memory in whatever way she could and inserted herself in every moment possible. She introduced herself as Ella's mom and completely ignored every boundary Ella put up.
You could not.
No.
Oh my God. Again, wait, and this is the mom. The mom passed away.
Mom just passed away, and now she's introducing herself.
Yeah, forget about that old thing. That's yesterday's news.
That's
I'm new
yesterday's
mom.
mom.
In town.
I'm today's mom.
New and improved mom 2.0.
She became jealous of the bond between Ella and me and tried many different things to separate us. Things took a bad turn when Ella was 14. I remember this day very well. It was a Monday. I had an appointment with a client at the venue they owned at the time. This appointment was later in the day. The venue itself was a nice one and often used for reunions, birthdays, weddings, and the owner let the elderly people use it twice a week for their hobbies and activities. Tom's mother, Stacy, who was still alive then, was a volunteer and helped in the organization. I was waiting in the lobby when Stacy saw me, came up, and we started to chat. Eventually, the owner came and greeted us with the remark,
"Oh, how wonderful to see you here. I'm so excited for Tom and Clarissa's wedding this upcoming Saturday. I'm sure you are as well."
Stacy and I were shocked.
Wedding?
What wedding? No clue. The owner sensed something was wrong. When the shock had worn off, the owner and I went to the office and conducted the business that I came for. After this was done, I asked some questions. Wedding is this Saturday? What time? How many people? I managed to gather everything. The owner even showed me the contract with both signatures of Tom and Clarissa. She gathered that we didn't know and was somewhat shocked as she knew our history. Then I went to find Stacy and told her everything. This woman
was livid.
Her son was getting remarried and she wasn't informed nor invited.
Yeah.
Now you look like you're in Greece.
I'll go Greenland, Greenland, go Greenland, I'll go Greenland.
I also hadn't heard anything from Ella. She told me that Tom and she would go away to have a father-daughter day. At this point, we had the growing suspicion that Tom had been lying to Ella about that Saturday's plans. Seems like there's a lot of lies going around about this wedding.
Too many lies to keep track of. Speaking of trying to keep track of things, can you give me a TLDR?
Basically.
Sorry. So could you give everyone else a TLDR?
Yeah. Okay, so I believe what happened is OP is the goddaughter to her friend who passed, her daughter. And this daughter's the friend's husband remarried to this new stepmom who's kind of been inserting herself in every way. And I believe
Wait, the friend's husband or
OP's friend's husband. OP's recently deceased friend's husband. He remarried.
Yep.
And the new stepmother of this daughter has been trying to insert herself in every way.
Yep.
And I think what's happening now is that Tom, who's the husband, and the new stepmom, I guess this is when they got married. Sorry. So this is in the past before they were married. So now OP is recounting the time when they found out that they were getting married.
they said they're not married
Yeah,
yet.
they weren't married at
Okay.
the time in the past. They are now. Tom is now getting married to Clarissa, and OP found out that Tom's mom, Stacy, didn't know that this wedding was happening.
Okay.
I also hadn't heard anything from Ella. She told me that Tom and she would go away to have a father-daughter day. At this point, we had the growing suspicion that Tom had been lying to Ella about the Saturday plan. That is crazy. That is crazy to be like the daughter and expecting a father-daughter day, and you just get your father marrying this terrible stepmom.
Yeah, you're literally marrying the evil stepmom.
Surprise wedding?
You are a Disney character.
To unravel this growing mystery, she and I went to pay Tom a visit. We had some time until Ella came home, and we didn't want her to see or hear any of this. Stacy went off the moment he opened the door. She barged in and furiously told him to explain himself. Clarissa came home and joined in the fight. Accusations flew left and right. In a quiet moment, I asked, "Does Ella know about your wedding?" "What wedding?" "I don't know about anything about a wedding." Ella had come home earlier than expected. Practice had finished sooner. Then the realization hit poor Ella. She asked Tom if that was the plan for Saturday. Their wedding instead of some father-daughter bonding? Clarissa cut in and told her that she had been motherless long enough and this wedding would give her a new mother.
Oh my God. You can't replace my mom. Stop trying to. You're not my mom.
Ooh, boy. Ella didn't even get the chance to say anything. Her beloved Grandma Stacy did that for her. Stacy tore Clarissa a new one, bluntly told her that she had a wonderful daughter-in-law and that she would and could never replace her. A wedding wouldn't change the fact that she disregarded Ella's wishes from the get-go, trying to erase the memory of a good woman and mother, and trying to destroy the relationship between me and Ella. She also told her own son that he was a weak-willed man, and that is why he was never made the executor of Mary's will, because she had always known deep down that she couldn't trust him to protect their daughter.
Oh my God. She sounds like a lovely bowl of soup that you just want to slurp on a cold day.
Yeah. To add insult to injury, she told him she disowned him and would make sure neither he nor the piss-poor substitute would get anything from her. Props to Stacy, man. Stacy did not hold back. She had something to say and she said it. She shouted it. And with that, she asked me to drive her home. Ella was enraged and wanted to live with her grandmother. Tom and Clarissa said no. Ella came to us, but we couldn't do anything. Tom tried to threaten us by saying that he would forbid Ella to come to us if we did or said anything. Hubby laughed in his face, asked if he was Clarissa's lapdog now, and said that we didn't need or say anything to dang him or Clarissa in Ella's eyes, as we couldn't do a better job than they were doing themselves. Ella became silent in the next couple of days. They became the talk of the town.
I mean, it's a big blowout. I can
Yeah.
understand why.
Stacy told a lot of people what was going on. People do love drama. So Saturday rolls around. Our children have their prearranged sleepover with some relatives, something that we saw as a blessing in disguise. We were nervous. We decided to go to Stacy's as we figured, she was just as anxious. At 11:30 a.m., Tom called us in a fury asking where Ella was. We had no idea what he was talking about. After some back and forth and us telling Tom to stop the legal threats, we got the story. Apparently, Clarissa had bought Ella a dress for the wedding. Absolutely not Ella's style, but hey, it's not like Clarissa ever listened to what Ella told her. Ella had taken it upon herself to buy a black dress and shoes as if in mourning. Yeah. I mean, celebrate your mom over this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
horrible-
statement.
She had managed to sneak in the dress, and when asked for privacy to get changed, she spilled some drink on the dress Clarissa got her, then put the black dress on.
Wow.
But she didn't stop there.
I feel like that's like almost like art, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is like Princess
Mhm.
Di level of.
Yeah.
Clarissa hadn't put on her wedding dress yet. She had booked a room that had something like a sliding wall, separating two rooms, each with their own beds, vanity, etc. She had stored her wedding dress in the front room, and she was in the other room where the hair makeup stylist was busy doing the hair and makeup of the blushing bride. Ella snuck in and put itching powder in Clarissa's dress.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I mean, she's 14.
Wow. But yeah, still, that's
Yeah,
a little-
it's like it's a big move, but she is 14. I can't say it's a mature move, but
it's
she's
not a
also
mature move.
14.
We don't condone it. But it
condone
is
it, but-
it is a nice little Home Alone prank.
Yeah. Then she left the room as quietly as she had come.
Itching powder. What's itching powder?
It's itching powder. What do you mean? It makes you itch.
Why do they have that?
Have you
Who
not
made
seen
that?
like any movie with a bully in it?
They
Oh, is
have
using itching powder? Yeah.
No, I've never heard of itching
What?
powder.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's super common in like every high school movie with a bully.
Well, no, I've never heard of it.
Tom flipped his lid when he saw his daughter. Ella couldn't care less, showed him the dress Clarissa gave her, and sat at the front of the venue. When Clarissa saw her, she seemed very angry, but focused on the ceremony. She was visibly uncomfortable and kept pulling her dress and scratching it.
Nita Nilsson says, mature shimmersher.
Yeah. When the famous line of object now or forever hold your peace was said, Ella made her speech.
Oh, wow.
Ella is pulling out all the stops,
All the stops,
man.
dude. Yeah.
This is an impressive 14-year-old. The owner later called and told us what was said. Ella spoke her mind about what Clarissa had done and not done, how Tom had failed her as a father, and that Clarissa would never be her mother alongside some other things. Then she left the venue.
Kind of just
Kind of epic.
like poetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is iconic.
Because it's iconic.
Tom tried to call Ella, but she was ignoring his calls. Stacy managed to contact Ella and picked her up. Afterwards, she called Tom, basically saying her granddaughter would spend the rest of the weekend at her house and she would bring Ella home Sunday evening. Ella was silent but had a look of satisfaction on her face. We hugged a lot and told her she's always welcome at our house and that she was loved. Sunday evening, Stacy takes Ella back home. According to Stacy, Clarissa looked like a slice of raw steak due to her scratching herself.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Clarissa
Ooh.
started to freak out the moment they entered the house, screeching at Ella about, "You ruined our wedding! This was out of line!" And my personal favorite, "How could she do this to her mother?"
Stop taking the role of mother.
Girl,
Like,
you
let
can't
go of
catch
it.
a hint. Oh, how I wish I could have seen this myself. When those words left Clarissa's lips, Stacy slapped her and told Clarissa that she would never utter those words to Ella ever again. She wasn't her mother, and her spreading her legs for her son wouldn't change that fact. Stacy read them the riot act, telling them that if they even thought of barring her and me and hubby from Ella's life, or making Ella's life more difficult, she would make their lives a living heck.
Again, we're not advocating for the slapping.
No. But if you say these things, you should expect to maybe get slapped by someone.
Yeah. You can't go around saying these things not expecting consequences, but ideally you're not the one to go. But
we don't advise you guys to be the perpetrators of the crimes.
No one slap people. Not a good move.
Yes, but also don't say crazy things and expect not to be slapped.
Yeah. Expect to slap, but don't be the slapper.
Then she left. Tom and Clarissa didn't try anything until Stacy passed away when Ella was 16. She kept her word, disowning her own son. He only got what the law allowed him. The rest went to Ella. Since Ella was still a minor at the time of the will change, Stacy named 2 executors to make sure Ella got what Stacy left her. This included her apartment and some savings. Can you guess who those 2 were? Give yourselves a cookie if you think it was me and hubby. Did we know? Yes. Did we say anything to Tom and Clarissa before Stacy's passing? Nope. Did they lose their minds? Yup. Did we care? Absolutely not. Did they try to fight the will? Of course they did. Did it matter? Nope. Stacy had made sure that several independent doctors had declared her of sound mind before she made the will. Since Stacy had also given Tom his rightful inheritance by law, he couldn't do a dang thing. Tom called us after the court's decision to try and get us to give him the role of executor of the will, alongside Mary's belongings that she had given to me. He tried saying that as Ella's father and Mary's widower, he had more right to that role. We just hung up, and he didn't try again. But we would love if you could try and listen to more full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final
dive
thoughts?
into it.
Okay. When Ella turned 18, everything was transferred to her. Ella left the house, and from there, she slowly rebuilt somewhat of a relationship with Tom and, to an extent, Clarissa. Clarissa calmed down a bit after Stacy's slap, and Ella became an expert in shutting them both down. Hubby and I have stayed out of it. After Tom's attempt of getting his hands on Ella's inheritance from both her mother and grandmother, we've had no contact. We never contacted them, and they never contacted us. We have always supported Ella in the following years. She went to college, traveled abroad, got a job, and got her life together.
Woo!
And that is the end of that story.
And the end of this episode.
So, if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you, and see you tomorrow.